The 2 Cent Report!
And welcome once again to this place in the middle of nowhere.
Let's get something straight. You're in the middle of nowhere.
I am in the middle of nowhere, and this is the 2 Cent Report. So I am 1 Cent Justin.
And I am 1 Cent Tristan.
Exactly. Together we make 2 cents.
And this is also our opinion.
Exactly, but we do not have the remaining, 98 cents needed to actually make a purchase of like maybe a small bubble gum or something that costs slightly more. Or if we had an extra R1.58, I could buy a pack of stylos or knickknacks.
I miss stylos. I haven't had stylos since I used to take the train.
The old days. So, shall we get started?
Indeed, good sir.
So, start off with some chilled stuff. One of these things is really, really fun. But first we'll start with something that's also fun, but like it's about someone who isn't, a group that isn't fun. Konami. Our favorite people. They have announced like a new, what they call a roguevania, which is a roguelike Metroidvania game. But it has an absolutely beautiful art style. Like, it's gorgeous. So I'm actually like, yeah, why not? I'll check that out. But it's just interesting to see Konami making a game other than, I don't know if you pronounce it PES or PES, that soccer game.
Yes. I actually forgot that they made that mobile game.
It's not only a mobile game, it is also a, console game.
Okay,
no,
yeah.
It's a console game as well.
No, I think the problem there is that I was exposed to my nephew, who at any point in time I used to be in his presence would ask if I could download the game on my phone so he could play it.
Okay, yeah, no, it's basically like a less successful FIFA.
Oh, so they're trying to steal some FIFA Lightning.
Yeah, I know they still make the. I also don't know if it's PES or PES, because I know it means Pro Evolution Soccer. I know it means that. But I don't know if you pronounce it PES, like a PES dispenser, or PES, or PES, which sounds worse. So I don't think it's PES, because that sounds a lot like piss.
Just bad branding.
Very bad branding. Would you like Puss 2020?
I guess that makes sense. I mean, I'm pretty sure people have called FIFA other names.
Very true. Corrupt. And other words too, I'm sure. So, that's just a small thing. Look it up. Look up their roguevania. But it looks absolutely beautiful. It has like very... I don't know, how do you actually... Have you played like any Metroidvania games? Because I'm a huge fan of them, but I don't know if you've really played them.
No. No. I'm a
You're
more
a
lenient
sad person.
You don't tell me that I'm sad. But anyway, before I get onto that, no, I did. I don't actually like Metroidvania games.
I think we have to end the show early. This would be like you telling me that you like FIFA now.
No, I still don't like FIFA.
No, it's all right. You're allowed to be wrong. It's your right. So, but basically, like, they generally are 2D games, and the thing that really stuck to me about this new one, just the look of it, is that it had a very dynamic background the whole time, and it kind of had this Japanese art style that was just really, really pretty. So, if nothing else, you could just, look up the game and be like, oh, it is pretty.
It does look nice.
Yeah. It is called, because it's oh god. Yeah, okay. Japanese naming. Getsufuma Den Undying Moon.
And I'm just gonna say Undying Moon.
Yeah, Undying Moon is the subtitle, so it doesn't technically count. But actually, just by the way, because I know you don't really know the games, but Kingdom Hearts. Would you like to hear the greatest naming convention that has ever been created?
For Kingdom Hearts?
No, Kingdom Hearts in general, because of the naming conventions that they do. So the first one was just called Kingdom Hearts. Then they were like, okay, cool, there's Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. Then there's Kingdom Hearts 2. Then there's Kingdom Hearts RE Chains of Memory. Then Kingdom Hearts Coded. Then Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days. Then Birth by Sleep. Then Recoded. Then Dream Drop Distance. Then 1.5 Remix. 2.5 Remix. 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue. So Unchained Union X.
So they're being very literal.
Yeah.
Uncreative, I'd say.
I know that it's one of those things where like people who are not familiar with Kingdom Hearts don't know what the fuck is going on. Also, like Kingdom Hearts 3 just came out like a while back, not that long ago. It was like last year or the year before. And people then discovered that there were like 10 PSP and PS Vita games that continued the story, and so they had no fucking idea what was going on. But,
Is this game that you're talking about, this Undying Moon, is it a Nintendo Switch game?
I think it is on Nintendo Switch, yeah.
I love this because I'm looking at the website now, right? And I think it's the one thing I love the most about this is the I would say the question that they ask you to determine your age, right? Your age in a language so they can format it appropriately. So age is fine. I don't mind that. Platform Steam and Nintendo Switch. So that's what it's coming out as. But what I love is the language. You get 4 languages. This is my favorite. I'm looking at it now. So you get Japanese from Japan. That's a very important thing.
Yes.
You get English from the US. All right.
Yeah.
You get English from Europe.
Yes.
Right? The 2 places where you would normally in most places get English, right? But there's a third English. There's Asia English. And I'm very interested to find out what Asian English is, because I know American English and I know, I wouldn't call it European English. I would actually just call it,
like UK English.
Yeah, English from its source. But now there's Asian English.
Asian English. Because actually one of the things I teach about different types of English, and we talk about American English, British English, South African English, Australian English, and then also Singapore English, which is probably the closest to this Asian English. Except that Singapore English also has a kind of silly other name, Singlish. So that's probably the closest thing to Asian English. It's still a form of English, but it probably has mixes of whatever. But Asia, I don't know, you can't really just say Asia, because Asia includes a lot of fucking people and a lot of languages.
Yeah, like the difference in pronunciation between an Indian and a Russian, or I'd say a Tibetan, it's vastly different.
Yeah, and there'll be Mongolian, there'll be Mandarin, there'll be Cantonese, there'll be Korean. So
there'll be those tribal languages up in Siberia.
Yeah, so I don't know where Asian English is from, but presumably one of those, because I don't think it's all of them.
I'm just looking for the stereotypical spelling errors, but it's not. I'm pretty sure that if I know the difference between spelling of American English and English. I know the difference in spelling. But for Asian English, it looks just like European English.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, the thing is, South African English, for instance, is pretty much exactly the same as British English.
But it's our dialect that changes, but not our writing.
Yeah, so maybe that's what changes. Maybe you'd hear the difference, but you can't see it. But, yeah. Did you look at the art style?
I did. It's got that old school Japanese paper wall art style.
Yeah, it's quite pretty.
I don't know. I find it messy. Am I just stepping over too many boundaries with you now?
You disgust me. It's fine. It's fine. You're allowed to get away with that. So long as, I don't think you've played it, but Okami, you have to agree that Okami is pretty.
So should we end this show early? No. I do think that it's that art style is better. That art style is. I'm fine with that. I don't like the highly detailed sketch style.
Okay.
I don't even like the Western sketch style or any sketch style. I don't like playing anything that looks like someone just scribbled and added color to it.
But Akami's got that more sort of strong brush strokes, kind of very. The characters tend to be very kind of simple looking. They're not very complex, but it's just very pretty. Looks like painted world.
They got a more modernized version of it, like a digital art version.
Yeah. So, shall we move on to the next histoire?
Sure thing.
Which is obviously the correct pronunciation, as you know. Okay. Now, did you ever play, back in the day, TimeSplitters 2?
Yes.
Okay. Did you like TimeSplitters 2?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Now, it was going to be a possible end the call now thing.
But disclaimer, I didn't get to play the story all too much.
Yeah, no. But it's sort of that's actually something else that would be great to just look at more. I wish that they'd make another TimeSplitters or just release it on like PC. But it was like a shooter really made for consoles. Really, really great game. Now, TimeSplitters 2 is coming up for a very random reason. Do you remember the Homefront games? There were only 2, I think.
The American War games.
Yeah, it's the one where North Korea invades America. I think.
I think I own one of them, but that's because of Epic sales. So I own one of them because I got it for free, and we don't give up free things here.
Well, the one Homefront, The Revolution. One of the designers or one of the people who was involved in development, he tweeted out that the coolest thing he'd ever done in a game was that he put the entirety of TimeSplitters 2 into Homefront The Revolution inside an arcade game.
No way.
And the problem was that nobody had ever found it because he lost the code.
He lost the code?
Yeah, and he said he sent the code to a friend, but then he lost it. And then the friend responded to his tweet and said, "This code?" And now people are able to play TimeSplitters 2 inside Homefront The Revolution.
So what he did is he embed it as a Easter egg, or was it just there because they wanted an arcade game for the realism of the area?
I guess it was, I don't know if anyone knew about it because it was just this one guy who knew about it. So he somehow embedded the whole game into just like an arcade cabinet that's in the game. And yeah, so, and then there's like a code you have to input, like, like a Konami code kind of thing, like a left, right, A, B, that kind of thing. And he lost it.
And that just, after entering that in, it switches on the console and then you're able to go to the arcade unit.
Yep, and then you can play TimeSplitters 2.
And he lost the code. Yo, that's embarrassing.
I know, but that is so cool. Like, that you could just put a fucking game into a game.
Well, the thing is, the thing there is, there's 2 ways to do it. You either run the game within the engine, or you get the game to execute the game within its own virtual computer, and then that virtual computer is represented by the screen and input of the game. So an app controlling an app, or the app within the app. That's the 2 ways I would have put it in.
apparently the TimeSplitters 2 in it can be a bit glitchy and can crash the game. So yeah, maybe there's some kind of
then it's
definitely
definitely
not working nicely with the engine.
Yeah. Then it definitely relies on the engine itself. But maybe it's because the engine was the TimeSplitters engine was a legacy of the Homefront engine.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, pretty fucking awesome.
What a flex.
Right. So, the next thing, we've already spoken about this like multiple times. So first there was just rumors that E3 was going to be completely online, and then the tourism board was like, you're not allowed to put on E3. And then the ESA, which is the Electronic Software Association, they eventually said, yeah, it's going to be completely online. But now it's been announced that E3 will be a completely free online event. So if anybody wants to check out E3 for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, like, I understand that's an act of desperation because Sony's pulled out, Xbox has pulled out, Activision Blizzard has pulled out, and with Xbox being Microsoft being, like, you know, buying up all these studios, any studio that's affiliated with them has pulled out.
Yeah.
I mean, Epic's just going to show off Fortnite, and all the other smaller studios are starting to realize that it's just better having your own online presence and doing your own thing.
Yeah. No, actually, this isn't part of the news here, but I just remember seeing it. One of them, I can't remember who it was like either Sony or Microsoft, or one of them, I can't remember, was like, yeah, we're just going to release our like showcase the same week as E3. Everyone's kind of used to that time. It's June, July. Everyone's just kind of used to doing everything there. So yeah, like, and nobody. I mean, also, Devolver Digital have been doing this for years. They were not part of E3, but they released their own E3 press conference the same week as E3, because they were like, well, fuck, this is when everyone's paying attention.
The thing is, if you are able to capitalize on that gap, like say if a big game is about to launch and everybody's paying attention, right? And you can predict that they're not going to make it for that date. You launch your game then, because people are going to go and expecting that big game to drop, and the moment it doesn't drop, your game is there and people are going to get it.
Yeah.
And I think,
no, definitely.
I think Cyberpunk had a game like that in the first miss, whenever Cyberpunk missed its launch, a new game was the craze.
Yeah, no, definitely. Someone picked up the slack.
I won't just say picked up the slack, like somebody found a gap. I mean, people say that it's so hard to get lucky because everybody has done something to get lucky. Like, you can't just make a gambling exploit or exploit the system. I mean, when China released its new cryptocurrency that's now directly connected to a currency, people wanted to jump on because they promised big returns. The problem I have with that is that I have a feeling that currency, it's going to be digital and only able to convert into in some weird way connected with China. Like, you can only use it on certain things. I don't know what's happening with them. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just a shit person, and I'm just talking shit about something that people are clearly making a lot of money on.
Yeah, well, we'll just go with that because it's easier to just say that you're a bad person. It's much easier.
I mean, if I had to release a cryptocurrency for South Africa, I would just call it bucks, because that's anyway what we fucking call the money.
I would like it. That would be pretty cool. So, shall we proceed once more?
Yes, please.
So, on Twitch seems to have a bit of a problem with viewbots.
Okay.
Yeah, which are just...
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you heard anything about this?
No, I've heard about viewbots. I heard them rumored. You know when any big thing comes out, then there's always rumors about them, like YouTube having people like you get those view farms for YouTube.
Yeah.
So like when I saw that, and I went down the rabbit hole, and I looked at all the stuff. But you may continue.
So obviously, for like people who don't know what a viewbot is, it's basically like a bot that watches streams like for you to up your views, to up your numbers. And Twitch decided to crack down, and they found a lot of them, and some people have lost a lot of followers.
Well, a lot of bots.
Yes, a lot of bots, but still on your follower count, it looks like you lost a hell of a lot of followers. Yeah, so for instance, this one guy who it says he went from having 6.5 million followers to 3.3 million.
I mean, like, that's a hell of a drop, but like...
Yes, that's fucking half of your viewers.
But I don't feel bad for him.
No. He still has more than enough. Also, viewbots don't actually contribute to, well, according to Twitch, like, they don't contribute to your, like, earnings or anything. It just makes your numbers look inflated, but it doesn't actually contribute to anything. Because, like, with Twitch isn't based on viewership numbers. It's based on subscribers who pay.
I would like to think that it encourages, in my opinion at least, that views encourage more people to view, because we're like, oh, so many people have viewed it. It must be good. It doesn't affect their pay, but it does get in more people. Now, with this whole viewbot thing and people are losing these gaps, I mean, it's sad. It's a big loss for them. But at the same time, I'm really not that sad about it.
Yeah, no. But it's interesting to see some, because that guy who he lost the most, but someone else lost 2.6 million followers. Apparently some people like Ninja and Shroud lost like hundreds of thousands of followers.
Well, again, when you mention Ninja now, I'm just like, wow. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's got still some of that Fortnite money coming in. So.
Oh, fuck yeah. No, he's fine. He's sorted for life. But, so I don't think this probably doesn't affect the small channels, because they tend to not have viewbots. So they'll probably be fine. But the ones who have like the millions and millions, they probably got affected by it. But yeah, just an interesting bit of news in the streaming world. So
thank you for that.
What a pleasure. We have some more acquisition news. Every single episode, I think, we have spoken about acquisitions. They straight up happen all the time. Now, who has been acquired? Gearbox has been bought for $1.38 billion. Now, my immediate thing about this, now they were bought up by Embracer, which is it's a conglomerate. You wouldn't have heard of Embracer, but you would have heard of some of the companies that they own. For instance, THQ Nordic and Deep Silver.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is one of those things where, like, you've never fucking heard of them, but you know who they own.
It's actually, every acquisition we've said on this podcast so far has been like that.
Yes, I know, you don't fucking know who the fuck it is, but you're like, okay. Oh, shit, they own these people. It was actually quite funny as well, because, like, if you don't know this, where you think, like, Rockstar Games is like this huge thing. Rockstar is owned by Take-Two. And people seem to be less familiar with Take-Two than they are with Rockstar.
I remember Take-Two Interactive. I remember it. Shit, but what do I remember about it? It's one of those moments where,
they own Rockstar. So.
Yeah, but no, but there's a reason why I know the end part, the interactive, is because I've seen it. But where have I seen it? Now my brain's like, okay, well, what games have you played? What have you done recently? We need to find out what these guys have done that you're so familiar with them. But I'll leave that for another time.
Yeah. So now the thing to me about this, which is a really good thing to me, a lot of time acquisitions are just like a business move, doesn't really change anything for the broader picture of things in terms of like the games being released, In this case, I kind of think it will. Because the guy in charge of Gearbox, Randy Pitchford. I don't know how much you know about Randy Pitchford, but we have spoken about him a bit before.
I am familiar with the name, yes.
So he's the one that, because we did speak about him on one of our episodes. I can't remember which one. But he was the guy he's like a magician as well, and he had porn on his flash drive, which he lost. Do you remember this?
Yes.
Okay. So the guy who had squirting porn on his flash drive, and then when people were like, why do you have squirting porn on your flash drive? And he's like, no, it was a magic trick. Which, I mean, sure, he can think that if he wants to. But
no. The thing is, if I was him and someone came to me and said, why do you have squirting porn on a flash drive? I'll look at them and be like, why don't you have squirting porn on a flash drive? What is wrong with you? Why are you attacking me when you're in a weaker state?
Exactly, but I don't know, he's a bit of a dick. But he's always been quite, like, dickish, and also he did things like, for instance, withholding bonuses from the Borderlands 3 devs, and giving himself a nice bonus, and now, because it's been sold, he does not own Gearbox anymore. He owned more than 50% of shares, I think, which means that he could not be fired. He couldn't like let go. He couldn't, now
is he
that
fired?
is not the case.
Please
no.
Okay,
It doesn't say that he's fired, but you never know. Maybe at some point he will not be there anymore. You can only hope. But he's an asshole. I don't like him at all. Every time he comes up in the news, I'm just like, oh God, Randy. He also has a thing about Jim Sterling, because Jim Sterling once was critical of Aliens Colonial Marines, and then he was very, very rude about Jim Sterling, so this is a bit of a dick. So that's Gearbox and Embracer, but there's another big acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
Now, first off, I've never heard of this studio. It's called C4 Games.
I've heard of them.
The thing that caught my eye about them was that they're a Chinese, I think that they're Chinese. Yeah, they're a Chinese studio. The thing that caught my eye about them was that they make Red Alert Online, which I've never heard of Red Alert Online. I know,
Haven't
obviously,
you?
Red Alert. No, I don't know Red Alert Online at all.
But that's where I've heard about C4 Games.
Okay. So they've been bought by a company which I don't know, you know them, but I know them, but they're one of the names that is going to become, you're going to hear it again, ByteDance. Have you heard of ByteDance?
Yes.
Do you know who ByteDance is?
I know a bit about ByteDance. Like, I know what they I know about them. I know enough about them to know that they have the position to do these things. Yeah. I don't know what games they've made, to be honest.
Well, ByteDance hasn't made any games, but they buy studios. The big thing that ByteDance owns, because ByteDance is not primarily known for its games, it has been getting into the game market, and some people are kind of seeing them as almost like a new Tencent. They're like a big Chinese company that's buying up devs, but they don't really make anything themselves. The big thing that they're known for is they own TikTok. Yes, but they've been getting. True. Yeah, but they've been getting into games recently. So, interesting.
So they basically, I think that's where I've heard them from. No, but what I was meaning about games, I mean, like, what studios do they own, so I can relate what the games to the studios. But I do remember they had something. I didn't know that they owned TikTok, but I knew they had something to do with TikTok.
Yeah.
Now I know that they actually own TikTok.
Yeah. I think that they also have a stake in Epic, but everyone seems to have a stake in Epic, so...
I wouldn't be surprised if Steam had a stake in Epic.
Like for instance, TikTok has a stake in Epic. And actually, Epic is going to come up later, so we shouldn't talk about that now. But they're going to come up because there's some very interesting things that they doing. So, do you remember last time our last episode, we spoke about how a report came out from a study that definitively linked loot boxes and gambling.
Yes.
So, I don't know if it's actually in response to that, but it seems that the Brazilian government has decided to start investigating loot boxes too. So, the time of loot boxes is maybe...
I don't know, but I feel like Brazil was one of the first countries to start targeting loot boxes. Like, I honestly feel like I've been here before. I've heard this before, or I've seen something about Brazil acting against loot boxes.
I think there was something about a Brazilian official who wanted to investigate loot boxes very early on, but I think now they're only starting the investigations now. Politics is a slow-moving beast.
It's only slow because I'm not going to say it. You know what? I'm going to stay away from that subject. I have so much to say on fucking politics, man.
Yeah. We all know that you're a massive communist. So,
it's just that, I'll speak to you off mic.
Sounds good. So, the next thing, this is just dickish because, well, I mean, first off, it's Apple. Apple has decided to do some nice restrictions with Discord. Discord is a great place for a lot of like creators and stuff like that. Like I know that Discord has a lot of like content creators are on Discord and they have like their own servers and all that kind of stuff. And so Apple has decided that they are going to block certain servers on Discord completely. So-called NSFW servers. So,
that's
for instance, people who make like hentai and stuff like that.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, like I was supposed to say, that's like 90% of my servers right now.
But yeah, it's just, well, to me, it's just petty nonsense. Also, there tends to be a thing that these companies do, in that anything that's sort of LGBTQ anything, they deem as not safe for work. So they'll be like, so say for instance you could have a server on Discord. They'll say be like a type of like say a pickup artist kind of group, and that won't be considered to be not safe for work. But if you have like say a gay group, that's considered not safe for work, which is just kind of asshole-ish.
Of course they will consider that to be not safe for work. But the thing is, Apple's always been up their own arse, and they've always tried to make it look like they're doing the right thing, they're being better about it. But Apple is profit driven, and if I don't say this, Apple is profit driven, and I understand why they're going with what they're doing, because 90% of the people that buy their products are the same people with loud mouths on the internet. I'm going to be rightfully honest. Yeah, they are, but there's a reason why there's the certain stereotype that comes with an Apple product. And to do anything against that client base that is buying your phone every release, buying new phones every release, would be detrimental to their profit margins.
Yeah. No, I think, to me, Apple people are... There's a couple of these groups that are just like dickheads. Kind of any fandom. Every single fandom is mostly like pricks. But people who are like super into Apple, you'll be like, okay, calm yourself down. It's like the same kind of people who are super into Nintendo. You're like, fucking calm yourself down. They have 3 games.
Wasn't there a mention of a 4th game? Like a new IP for Nintendo? And then
the latest IP I know about is Splatoon. But that's already a couple of years old now.
No, yeah, I know. But I remember there being a rumor about Nintendo having another IP.
It's possible.
It came around at the time between the post GTA, where there was rumors about Rockstar instead of making another Bully or anything, they were going to start a new IP. I think it was around that time that I heard rumors about Nintendo also looking to brand a new IP.
Maybe. But, well, I mean, actually, Nintendo did have like a showcase a few days ago, but I don't pay attention to them. So I have no idea what they announced. I assume a Mario game. Probably I think there was a Metroid game, maybe. You never know. Maybe there was like a Kirby or a Pokemon or I don't know, the handful of franchises that they have. It's one of them. Maybe they did a 5-second teaser of the Breath of the Wild 2. God. Nintendo.
That would be fairly interesting. I'm not gonna lie.
Breath of the Wild 2?
Yeah.
Why?
I'm looking at it like this, right? It's let me think about it. It's a good game. Now, I haven't played it, obviously, but people have always expressed that their love for the game, and I can't deny that. And I think that Nintendo could pull off something like that, because as far as I know, Mario hasn't changed. Metroid is kind of slunk in the back, and Zelda has taken the center stage on their current gaming platform. I mean, there's Zelda everything. Zelda was the game of choice when they wanted to launch the Switch, and it's still the forerunner. Yeah.
However, I still remember when Breath of the Wild released, because I remember it very, very specifically, because I spoke about him earlier, but Jim Sterling, he gave it a 7 out of 10. And he, his website got DDoS attacked. So, people don't like it when you criticize Nintendo products. They will attack you.
But that's the funny thing about the internet. It's freedom of speech until I can actually hurt you. And if you're not hurt, then it's not a crime. We can fuck up your whole livelihood, but it's not a crime because we didn't hurt you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's all about fucking up. Although, sometimes really funny things come out of these sort of campaigns. But, I'm immediately thinking of Scientology and probably shouldn't talk about them. So.
You haven't learned your lesson yet.
I will eventually, once I finish the Bible in my videos, I'm going to do, maybe even before I finish the Bible, I'm going to do a couple of other smaller religions. I will do Scientology. I'm going to read Dianetics.
You're your own worst enemy. You know that, right?
Anyway.
I'm going to be 100% with you. You are your own worst enemy.
It's still fun. So anyway, the next story is one you do know about. That Amazon cancelled its Lord of the Rings MMO.
Yes.
Which, now, I did know about the MMO, but there has been a Lord of the Rings MMO before. I don't know if you know it.
No, wait, you're right. No, I do know about it, but it wasn't on the forefront of my knowledge. It wasn't something that I was actually keeping up with, but I do know that it exists. Because my knowledge of Lord of the Rings is very limited to the movies. And obviously the books, but not to do so much with the gaming world. And
there was the
content.
It was just called Lord of the Rings Online. It was back during the sort of the late 2000s when everyone was trying to make an MMO to try and match up to World of Warcraft, where there was a Conan one, there was the Lord of the Rings one, there were fuckloads of MMOs. I don't know if you remember that, but it was a big... MMOs were like huge, trying to make new ones, and they never worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone already had an MMO to play. World of Warcraft.
Although, for me, World of Warcraft on its own is fully rounded, and many people have tried to emulate it. But I think the only successes in the MMO genre nowadays are people that are not trying to emulate Warcraft's success, but rather trying to find a new way to redesign the MMO. That's the only way they actually do work out better.
No, but do you remember the late 2000s, early 2010s, when in 2007 Modern Warfare comes out? And everyone tried to make realistic modern shooting games. They were just everywhere. But none of them could match up to Call of Duty because they're chasing the trendsetter rather than trying to set trends.
Exactly.
Much like how everybody is trying to make everything now must be a battle royale. And you're like, no, but everybody has their choice of, there's the two big battle royales, and people play those two. They play Fortnite, and they play PUBG. They don't want another one. So
No. There is. You're forgetting Apex. Apex
true.
is actually
True.
very,
Apex,
very
yeah,
big.
yeah.
And I think in my circles, Apex has overshadowed PUBG. PUBG was big in the start, and then I don't know anybody in my circles that play PUBG anymore. But I do know people that still play Apex, and I know a shit ton of people still playing Fortnite.
Yeah. To me, what with like my thing with those was that I often saw kind of older, more kind of serious gamer types playing PUBG, and sort of Fortnite has attracted a lot of teenagers and a lot of very casual sort of players. So, for instance, like every one of those children that I teach have all got like Fortnite, except for one. One of them plays Rust, which is quite interesting.
That's actually very interesting because Rust is not even a game I want to get into. I don't like Rust. It's the same reason why I don't like public servers in general, and I especially don't like public survival builder simulators, because I hate the idea of even playing Ark publicly. The only game I've ever played publicly and enjoyed it is the game I'm playing now, Empyrean, and that's because you hardly ever fucking see anybody else, let alone have to deal with them. So I like that. I don't like Rust because I've seen a lot of grown men cry. I've heard a lot of grown men cry when it comes to Rust. I've heard of people that got into Rust because they liked the game, and they started building up their towns, not their towns, their base. They started really working at it, and then to leave the game and come back and it's all ruined after and this is like the salary man. This is somebody that was a big gamer, but life hit them hard, and they couldn't get that job that that people can just casually play games while at work. I mean, it's actually starting to become a real annoyance to me as well, because there's actually IT jobs. IT jobs where when you're not always busy, or art jobs where you're not always busy but you're working from home. You literally play games until you're busy, until work comes. So and especially at home, people play games and you don't get that. So this poor man is someone that has to go to work, have to sit through work, finally gets a chance to come home and play something, and then chooses the worst game to play casually. That's just unlucky to another degree.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of any game where people can just destroy all of my progress. I'm like, no, I just won't play it because fuck you. I'm not doing it. Oh, God. But anyway, we were talking about Amazon originally. But it seemed to be there was a falling out between Amazon and Tencent, and so the thing got cancelled. But that's kind of all we know. And actually, you had said to me before this, how did Amazon get the rights to Lord of the Rings?
Yes, I didn't even know they even had the licenses for that.
However, I then remembered, right now, Amazon is currently making a Lord of the Rings prequel series for Amazon Prime.
Does this prequel take place before or after The Hobbit?
I think it's about Aragorn before things happen, and I think that Gollum is in it, but I'm not 100%.
Now that's another problem, right? He was a good character, but now you're gonna shove this poster boy into anything you can find, even if it doesn't make sense.
Well, I think it's about his life as a ranger. Before, because he's like a ranger, he's part of the Dunedain, I think they're called. I was a big Lord of the Rings fanboy, so I remember quite a couple of these. Yeah, I don't really care about a series, but I think that's how they got the license, that they are making series.
All right, well, the only thing I can say is congratulations.
Yeah, except for the failed MMO, I suppose. Not really congratulations there.
No. When you put Amazon and games, we've only discussed them quitting, them dropping,
they don't,
and them cancelling.
No, because like they're great at doing their their online grocery store service, and they're great at doing like movies and series because that thing's fucking going on forever, and they own Twitch. So they're fine with like movies, series, streaming, but they don't seem to be able to grasp games. So, I mean, they've got the money for it, so maybe they just need to hire some competent people. But, we'll have to wait and see what comes out of them in the future.
In the future?
In the future. So, moving on. Talking about streaming again. Well, tangentially related because I mentioned streaming. Anyway, Netflix has signed an exclusive streaming content contract with Sony. All of Sony's movies that are coming out will be moving right after they leave cinema. They will go straight to Netflix. So they're not winding up on any of the other things. And ordinarily, I wouldn't include this, but we're going to be talking about Sony again. So that's why I thought might as well just add this in here. So that's just a small thing, there's going to be an Uncharted movie coming out. They're making that series, the Last of Us series and stuff like that. So Sony's doing shit. I mean, Sony does, I think, still own Spider-Man. So, they do make movies.
The thing is,
they don't just make
doing
games.
Really well with Spider-Man, I must admit. They've been I was a little bit worried about, because Sony is I believe that Sony has a 50-50. Either they make absolute trash, or they make a pretty good movie or series, if they still do series.
Do you know if, because I know that the whole thing with like the Marvel stuff is weird. Did they make Into the Spider-Verse?
Sony?
Yeah.
Let me see. Maybe I can.
Maybe just you. because that was fucking brilliant. So.
You like? Okay, let me just see.
While Tristan is staring at things, I'm gonna do a song for everyone.
You're gonna sing. We could just insert elevator music. Normally, it's the kind of information. It's the kind of information that pops up as soon as you search it, but
oh well.
My skim over it doesn't. I mean, I'm on IMDb, Maybe I should go on to Wikipedia.
Maybe try Wikipedia. I think maybe Wikipedia will just give you an answer.
Will just give me an answer.
I do know that they own the rights to make.
It was produced by Columbia and Sony Pictures Animation.
Okay, so it was Sony as well. Yeah, all right.
It would have to be. They own the IP of Spider-Man.
Yeah, And also they made that, Insomniac made that really, really good, which I would like to play.
The PS4 Spider-Man.
Yeah. This is why they must just bring their shit to fucking PC, because I don't own a television. Why would I own a TV? What am I going to do with a TV?
And don't forget, if you own a TV in South Africa, you have to pay TV licenses, regardless if it's on or off.
Well, remember that our government is talking about trying to make us do TV licenses for having Netflix.
Our government's also saying that you need to provide a TV license in order to buy a console.
Really?
Yes. You actually have to, when you buy a console, they're trying to push that you have to provide, think of a place where you buy a console from. Actually walk into the building and buy it, not online purchasing. If you do that, you have to provide a TV license, a proof of a TV license.
Huh. I mean, with me, I'd probably just be like, Mom, you have a TV license. Come with me.
No, but
I want to do some fraud.
but that's the thing. I mean, how do you do that? How do you just force people to, oh no, you need a TV license for this? And you're like, but why?
Okay, this would only be interesting to South African listeners, but I think that the SABC is planning on making their own streaming service. So we're going to have a public streaming service.
But why?
I don't know.
Isn't there anything better you can do with our tax money than that?
Probably not. No. But we're famously corrupt, so tax money goes to sort of politicians anyway. So,
it's
so
nasty, man. It's so nasty.
Anyway, so we just spoke about Sony with streaming. Now Sony decided to also maybe screw over some devs a bit. Now, Sony really, really likes to make big blockbuster games. They're exclusives, at least. Like the Marvel's Spider-Man, The Last of Us, these big budget kind of beautiful games, really optimized for the systems. I heard that Ghost of Tsushima, they had to artificially insert load screens because it was loading too quickly. But they put hints in between it, so they were it doesn't feel like it's doing anything because it's too quick. So they actually had to make loading screens for the game.
But why? So, wouldn't you want to go faster into a...
apparently there's some kind of stylistic reason. But I think they're very short. They're 5 seconds. But the people who made... And actually, this is not a new thing. I remember playing Infamous. And Infamous has the fastest loading I've ever seen in my life. It didn't load. It just opens the game. These people, the people who make Sony's games, really, really optimize the games for the system. They know what they're doing with Sony systems. But they want to make all these big kind of things. Now, one particular group called the Visual Arts Service Group, they're a support studio. They have worked on kind of all of these games. They'd make, art assets and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Now, they wanted to, actually, because they're quite a big company within Sony, and they wanted to make their own things. They wanted to try and have actual creative control. So they were trying to pitch for an Uncharted remake, to make a remake of the first Uncharted game.
Mm-hmm.
Then they didn't get to do that. But they were going to be okay, well, what about The Last of Us? We'll make a remake for the PS5 of The Last of Us 1. And they were told, yes, cool, whatever. And they were working on it. And then it was taken away from them and given to Naughty Dog.
Ouch.
And so and they're still, and the thing is, it was just taken away from them, given to Naughty Dog. And then the team now has to support Naughty Dog rather than leading the production themselves.
Ouch. That is an insult, eh?
Yeah.
My
so
God.
that's just dickish. But also the thing is, Naughty Dog to me has always been a beloved company because of what they produce. So that it's always been really, really depressing as of late to see how much they fuck over their workers and crunch and shit like that. I mean, for instance, my tattoo that you made has 2 Naughty Dog characters on it. Well, 1 Naughty Dog character, 1 Naughty Dog item. But from 2 different franchises.
Mm-hmm.
Naughty Dog is like one of my foundational childhood studios. But ever since, like, sort of The Last of Us, the first Last of Us, they've kind of become really, really dickish, and like the crunch has become more and more extreme, and they have a workplace culture that seems to be very toxic towards anyone who, you know, wants to have a life outside of the company. So it's just really disappointing to see them kind of continuously seeming to be worse and worse. Well, I mean, they're still making fuckloads of money, so they're not shooting themselves in the foot. They seem to be doing just fine, but they're fucking over other people. So it's quite disappointing.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, like, Naughty Dog is still growing. Naughty Dog is still getting bigger, releasing bigger things. And the thing I think about it is that we keep on forgetting that the people that are now forcing these things aren't let's make a game orientated. They are let's make money orientated. Remember, back then, making a game studio was a bunch of nerds who know how to fix your the issues their mom has on the computer. That you know what I mean? Like grandma, you go over to grandma's house and you're the one fixing, getting rid of all the browsers on their computer, or all the add-ons to their Internet Explorer. And I think that is the perception. They're just nerds, and they make and now they're making games for other nerds. That was the whole thing. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a bit different, because now it's corporate suits, the same people that back in the day used to market and advertise things like butter that comes out like a Pritt stick, you know.
That's disgusting.
Those guys, those people that are in it to make money, that have gone and got a higher education so that they could earn a business money. Those guys are the guys that are now ruling the industry, because the those nerds that started it don't know a damn thing about making companies. They just know that they want to make games, and they leave their company in the hands of these people. But because money is such an oriented thing now, the corporates have gotten more and more influence in the company, and eventually they start moving away from certain things. Now they can't give up the fan base, because that's what makes them money, but they want to change the company to better fit a profitable money-making machine. So you just take away the things that people won't realize is a big thing. Like, for instance, the devs. Pick on them. Pick on the artists. Pick on the workforce that nobody sees. Their names are not... Pick on anybody who doesn't appear in the credit screen. Because they won't have a say. They are not powerful enough to say anything. And again, I say this: if they have a problem with it, that's fine, because there's more than enough people lining up to take your job, and they let you know it.
You know, saying that actually reminds me a bit of a couple of years ago. There was I don't really care for award ceremonies that much, because like award ceremonies tend to just be like everybody knows who's going to win all the awards. Unless you have some breakout success like a Disco Elysium that somehow wins like more awards than, you know, other things that came out that year. But there was one acceptance speech that was made that was actually really, really nice. He's a content creator. I think he goes by Game Over Greg or Game Over Greggy or something like that. He's quite like a big YouTube channel and Twitch and stuff, and he went on stage and then he said this random name that's like a person's name, something like, say like Lisa Johnson, something like that, and said, I want to thank you for what you did. Now, most of you have probably never heard of her. I was recently playing a game, and I just chose her name from random in the credits, because it's people that make games, and those people deserve to be,
credited,
acknowledged for what they do. So, like, I do not know you, but thank you for your contribution to. I'm like, that's really like a nice sentiment, because that is the truth. It's human beings that make games, not companies.
Yeah, but people forget that, eh?
Yeah, and that's actually also the thing. We do it all the time. We're sort of also responsible for it, because we say, for instance, oh, I love Naughty Dog games. I love this company's games, and you're like, well, you love the people who work there who made it for you.
Yeah. Whether you actually like them,
Yeah.
is a completely different story.
But that's the thing with sort of all companies. You don't really know about the people themselves. You just know about the big companies. But anyway, so shall we move to our final story?
Final story. Wow.
I know,
We're there
right?
already.
We're there already.
Maybe we should throw in some other world news.
So no, I'm not going to do that.
In other news,
I went to the shop on Saturday. There was no food in the house whatsoever, and I can't get to a shop myself. So this is actually something that happened for everybody to know. I bought a bunch of junk food, and I did something that I should never do. But every now and then I'm like, oh, you know what you could really do with Justin? A tin of caramel.
And you just bought a tin of caramel.
Bought a tin of caramel.
And you just ate it all.
No, I haven't eaten it yet. I have it, but I haven't eaten it.
Well, why are you wasting my time then? You built up this nice story and then you're like, oh yeah, but I haven't eaten it yet.
You see, I'm saving it. Okay, well, fine. Scrap the story. I bought a packet of big corn bites. And I ate it all. It was so good. It's the new sour cream and chive flavor. It's the best chip.
But what does this
ever.
have to do with other news, though?
We're padding up the
runtime.
Okay, so shut the fuck up.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so should we do the final story?
Yes. Let's hear it.
So, the Epic Games Store. Now, this is actually, it's two stories, but it's both about the Epic Games Store. So, Epic has obviously, as we know, been doing its free games every 2 weeks. Sometimes they change it up to every week. And then during like Christmas, they do like one a day for like 2 weeks. Now, turns out that this whole thing, because this has been, obviously companies don't really like telling people about their finances.
Oh, yeah.
However, there was that whole, maybe, I don't know if you know about this, maybe you do, the whole thing between Epic and Apple.
I think I do. I think I have heard a bit of something.
Yeah, so basically the thing was that Epic started doing microtransaction purchases on Fortnite that didn't go through the App Store, and so the App Store didn't get its cut. And so Apple cut them out, and then Epic like launched back at them, and now there's like a lawsuit. Anyway, they've had to submit documents. And in these documents, we discovered that they lost $181 million in 2019, $273 million in 2020. They haven't really been making a profit on the Epic Games Store. They've been like hemorrhaging money, quite hectically, and it's often because of these. Because I mean, the free games don't just wind up there by chance. They obviously have to pay the studios to be allowed to put the game on for free.
Yes.
You know, so they've been losing a fuck ton of money in their attempt to try and beat out Steam. So far, it does not seem to be working.
I mean, like, how far are they gonna go? I mean, you say this, but I've been seeing quite a few recurring games now. I mean, like, soon Alien Isolation is gonna be out again.
Yeah.
So
yes,
it's
I know,
like,
I saw that. I'm
just a little bit hesitant in thinking, you know, like, you're not winning, and right now, it's only us, our cheapos that won't buy a game that are on your store grabbing the free games.
Yeah, I haven't bought a single thing on Epic.
You know, I mean, my thing is this. The store had one selling point. And as soon as that selling point's done, it's going to end up like Origin.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, I know, like, obviously Epic and Unreal Engine, but I feel like they need to do more with the developing community. I mean, like, on paper, they got pretty good deals. I mean, the developers have gotten pretty good deals out of this.
Yes.
They are getting...
No, the Epic Game Store is great for devs. The exclusivity deals and stuff that Epic pays to have games be on Epic Game Store for a year before Steam. They pay quite a bit for those.
Yeah. And what's funny is that you get guys like us who will wait for the Game of the Year edition that will release on Steam.
Yes. No, I mean, fuck. Also, my big thing about the Epic Game Store, I don't really care what's on your store. You need to fix it. It doesn't work nicely. It devours your battery if you're on a laptop. Like, it is a fucking, like, power hog. I don't know what the store is doing in the background to be using that much of because it uses CPU and RAM way more than it should. And in addition to that, it doesn't have like any of the features that are on Steam. Like you can't, from what I see, I can't put my games into groups. Like I group all of my games on Steam. Like I have different folders. Yeah. I have a finished, unplayed, uninterested. I categorize them according to what I want.
Yes, I agree.
There's like none of that on Epic. It's just you can either have it in an alphabetical list or you can have it in an installed list. And I'm like, fuck, I don't want that. I want like actual, also it's so slow. It seems to break all the time.
I've also had a major downloading issue. Like it actually used to take, for instance, if it said it was downloading 2 meg, it would actually download, would use my network 20 meg. And I had a major issue with that.
I've also had download things with it. I haven't downloaded a game on Epic for quite a while. But I remember having a lot of trouble with it where I set it to download. And then, like, it wouldn't tell me how much it was downloading until it was, like, done. I don't know, it was weird. It was like it didn't actually tell me how far it was in the download. And eventually I came back and it was finished downloading and I was like, okay, cool, I guess now it's working. It's just ridiculous. Like, it's like they need to actually maybe put some people into fixing it.
But you see, that would cost money. And like you said, they're currently hemorrhaging money.
However, and here's where we come to the second story about Epic. They have they've gotten a nice extra $1 billion in funding.
From
all sorts of places. But, now here's one of the interesting ones, okay? Epic is worth quite a bit. They say here they're worth $28.7 billion. Now, they've just gotten an extra $1 billion from various places. One place is particularly interesting. Remember earlier when you said, when I said everybody has a stake in Epic? and you said maybe Valve has a stake as well.
Yeah.
So Valve doesn't, from what I can see. Sony does. Sony invested $200 million in Epic.
That's very interesting. That is very interesting. I'm trying to think of like why would Sony invest that unless even then.
Well, what the CEO of who is the chairman, president, and CEO, Kenshiro Yoshida of Sony, he said, and this is like the most boring thing you can imagine. It says here, who said the PlayStation maker was excited to strengthen its collaboration with Epic with a view to bringing new entertainment experiences to people around the world. Which isn't really saying anything. It's just saying we want to make money off of them. So,
maybe
yeah.
But Epic, like, they can't. They're literally doing this for. If I can understand if they want to take the exclusives over to the PC, but they're too proud to go for something like Steam. They're too proud, so rather butt up Epic. Because again, they're probably getting a better overall deal. Like you said, with the devs getting a better deal. I'm pretty sure that they are getting a better deal.
But yeah, it's pretty interesting to see because I mean, like Tencent, for instance, I think has a 10% stake in Epic. They also own a majority share in Riot Games, the guys that make League of Legends. So I mean, you know, everybody has their fingers in the pie, so to speak. So it's quite interesting.
Do you think that there's a strategy behind this, or do you think it's like everybody just sitting around and then Microsoft walks by just chomping on all these dev studios and swallowing them whole, and then everybody's like, maybe we should do something.
I think that the whole thing was with the sort of the chronology and the changing landscape of the so-called console wars, where it was like when Xbox entered, they were not the winning faction. PlayStation 2 is the console of that generation, you know. Yes. Then it was PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, and the 360 was the winner overall there, or seen as the winner. Then PS4 and Xbox One came out, and Xbox One was obliterated by it. And I think Microsoft has been trying to do a long-term strategy. And Sony has not been doing a long-term strategy, and I think they're going to kind of get their ass kicked by this. Because, like, for instance, they now fucking own Bethesda. And they were like, oh, yeah,
that's big.
We're going to fulfill our contractual obligations to bring things to the PlayStation 5. And then you're like, yeah, those are your current contractual obligations. You do not have contractual obligations for, you know, Elder Scrolls 6, do you?
Nope.
So, yeah, we'll have to see. So I think Sony's... My thing always has been, though, that... Because this is why I still kind of see myself, in some sense, as a Sony boy, even though I haven't had a PlayStation really in ages. I prefer the games they make to the ones that Microsoft makes. Like
Sony has way better exclusives.
Yes, and fuck, if they just brought them to fucking PC, like the new God of War, that new Spider-Man, Horizon, although Horizon is now on PC, and Death Stranding.
Death Stranding. Okay, yeah, sure, fine. Because, I mean, I think Death Stranding is already on PC.
Yes, no, it is on PC.
All right, fine then. But I'm just thinking, like, it just feels like it's such a in my opinion at least, I just feel like running and grabbing studios without a plan is just another stupid waste of money. Now, if they're smarter than what I believe them to be, and they actually are targeting studios based on what they can do to improve on it, great. But if they're just buying it because they made a game that people are popular with and they want to cut in that profit, then that to me is stupid, because that's what EA did. And what happened to the studios? They didn't perform as well as they did solo, so EA destroyed them.
I think maybe what's also the sort of plan with buying up all these things is that they are really appealing to the hardcore crowd, because they're buying up darlings like Obsidian. You know, they're buying up these small studios that made games that were like for instance, you'd be like Obsidian. Yeah, sure, they made like New Vegas and stuff, but your average, like, say, more casual gamer, they won't know who Obsidian is, you know. But hardcore gamers, you like say to them Obsidian, they're like, oh god, New Vegas, oh, you know. So I think that they're kind of trying to get into the hardcore side, trying to be like, you know, we've got your back, hardcore gamers. We're not just for casual gamers, because that's also the thing. The Xbox 360, I think, was viewed a lot as kind of a more casual machine. It was sort of seen as the machine. Yeah, it's like every frat boy had an Xbox, kind of thing.
I think
played
it's still
FIFA on it and shit.
I still think it's still like that. I feel like almost that Xbox has that reputation that it's a cool guy's console. And
yeah, I think that is the case.
And I think that's the fault of the games that they have exclusives, right? Now, Sony, for me, hands down, has the best exclusive. I will say any day that Sony has the best exclusives, other than PC. But PC doesn't really have exclusives.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I mean, you can't. Yeah, some games are only on PC. Like some indie games are only on PC. But would you call that a PC exclusive? I don't think of it as a PC exclusive.
Yeah,
I just think that,
like RTS games.
Yeah, because you actually need licenses, and you need to go into a contractual agreement to develop for a console.
Yes.
I can't just make a PlayStation game. I have, because they're very aware of their own brand. So if you make something that's shit that appears on their console, they're gonna hate you for it. With a PC is that I can make whatever the fuck I want for PC.
And Steam will sell it.
Yes. like that rape simulator that Steam sold.
Oh,
that
God.
was funny. That was so. I was like, what? Who? Doesn't anybody like vet these studios or vet the games?
I don't think so. I think Steam likes to do that thing where they go, we wouldn't want to get in the way of other people's freedom of choice. So we allow the consumer to decide, and thereby we do not have to do anything.
Yeah, and that lazy approach is, I mean, like, Microsoft doesn't care when it comes to Windows. Windows is like, it's that thing where it's like, you know, Apple iOS is bad. And then people go, oh no, how dare you, don't you talk shit about my beloved company, I fucking hate you, you piece of shit. And then you go to the person like, you know, Windows is shit. And the person will go, I know. That's it. That's the extent of the conversation, because we know. People go, oh, you know, at least Mac doesn't update and ruin everything. Yeah, we know Windows doesn't update and ruins everything. Do you know what Windows doesn't do? Well, what I can prevent with my Windows, I can prevent an update from coming out that will actually cripple my system, forcing me to update my system. Paid upgrade. And
you know,
also, it's go ahead.
No, I think that's the difference though about people who are, for instance, like, say, people who are like PC gamers. Steam is full of shit. There's lots of shit on Steam. And we'll all be like, yeah, there's lots of cuck on it. A lot of shit. Yes, of course there is. Whereas people who are like, say, hardcore consoles be like, how dare you say that about my system? I think that is the difference. Because like PC people will be like, no, it's cuck, it's shit. It's not a good service.
But that's the funny thing is because that comes with the lack of filtering that the platform does. It's because the platform does that there's so much shit. Like people go like, oh yeah, but you don't develop viruses for Mac. Why would you develop a virus for Mac?
I think my big thing, and my dad is a very big Apple person, and my whole thing I'm like, no, I don't really care for, Apple products because I can't change shit that I want to change. Like, I have to work within their systems, or I have to jailbreak the phone. And I'm not confident enough to jailbreak a fucking phone. So I'm like, yeah, I guess I have to work within your parameters. And take the thing with a PC. I can do whatever I want on this machine. Macs are, like, restrictive.
How there's literally apps that allow you to do whatever you want. So if PC doesn't offer... If Windows doesn't offer it, then there's going to be an app that offers it anyway.
Yeah. But anyway, I think we're out of stories, so should we wrap up?
Yes, sure. By all means.
Wonderlijk. So, today we spoke about the rise and fall of Rome. Wait, sorry, that was a different podcast. No, we spoke about video games. Because we are super attractive people who have lots of sex. AKA gamers. Right, Tristan?
We are the cool kids at the party.
Oh yeah, we're the coolest. We have like all the slang, we like come in and we're like, yeah, noob.
It reminds me of that ERB President Trump verse.
Which Trump verse?
The one from Trump versus Biden.
Probably, but I'm currently drawing a blank.
The grammar one.
Oh, yes.
I don't want to say it because if you want to know what it is, go look up that video. But
yes,
it's
if you don't know what Epic Rap Battles is, you should just go check it out.
Like, don't even think about it. Like, we're wrapping up. What are you still doing here? You should have moved on to another video. Why are you still listening to us?
Yes, you sad people.
Go watch ERB. How about that?
All right. So that will be then our sign off. Go and watch Epic Rap Battles of History instead of listening to whatever the fuck we say. So, I have been Justin, or LC Lupus as I'm also known. I have things, I suppose. My channel, LC Lupus, has videos. The next one's going to be about nostalgia. It's going to be very fun. And everybody should watch it. Because if you don't, I'll be very sad. And I'm also on Twitter, at LC_Lupus, where I talk shit and, I'm sometimes mean about random news stories. And people, which is also fun. Twitter is the hate machine, and we should all have Twitter. And what about you, good sir?
I'm just in the corner. I'm busy working on the content that I'm gonna soon be able to plug. So I'm working on that, getting that done. And other than that, I don't really have anything else to do. My internet presence is very small because I'm working on the content. I don't really like to talk shit about people because I come to you to listen to you talk shit about people, and then I comment.
Yeah, I'm mostly the burning bridges person, and you're the one who's like maybe a bit more I'll just be like, fuck Ubisoft, and you'll be like, yeah, they're not great.
No, I mean, like, if you say fuck Ubisoft, I'll be like, why? And if you give me a good point, I'll be like, yeah, fuck them. I'm gonna go play Assassin's Creed.
Always a good reason. Right. So I think that's us for today.
Sure thing. All right, guys. Keep well. If you're even watching this, good luck in your future endeavors. And until next time, we see you. Stay safe.
Yes. And as per usual, I love you. Ta-ta.
Shit, we don't have an outro.
That's the outro.
That could be the title.